Have you ever sat down to enjoy your favorite meal, maybe a warm bowl of soup, a slice of toast, or that little treat you've loved for years, and just a few hours later, that familiar stiffness creeps in? The ache in your fingers. The tightness in your knees. That dull, nagging pain that makes even standing up feel like a chore. You probably brush it off and say, "Oh, it's just my arthritis acting up again." But what if I told you, it might not just be your age, it might be your food? Yes, some of the foods we've trusted for decades, the same ones that remind us of childhood, comfort, and family dinners, could actually be fueling the very pain that slows us down. It's a harsh truth that most people never think about. We grow up believing certain meals are good for us, but over time, the body changes, the joints grow more sensitive, and the foods that once gave us energy might now be quietly feeding inflammation. Think about it. How often have you noticed your joints feeling worse after eating something salty, sugary, or fried? Maybe you didn't connect the dots, but your body has been trying to tell you something. For millions of people over 50, arthritis isn't just an occasional ache, it's a constant companion. It's that morning stiffness that greets you before the day even begins. It's the discomfort that turns a simple walk into a slow, painful task. It's the frustration of wanting to move, but feeling trapped inside a body that resists. But here's what most people don't realize: arthritis pain isn't only about aging. It's deeply connected to what we put on our plates. The truth is, some of the most common foods sitting right now in your kitchen, maybe even on your dinner table, are making your inflammation worse, joint by joint, day by day. And that's exactly what we're uncovering today on Elderly Wisdom Guide, the 10 most dangerous foods for arthritis, especially for those over 50. By the end of this video, you'll know which foods silently aggravate your pain, and which ones you can start replacing to feel lighter, stronger, and freer in your own body. And trust me, number 7 might shock you. Because it's something many seniors eat every single morning, believing it's healthy, when in fact, it might be one of the biggest triggers of inflammation you'll ever face. So, before we dive in, take a moment. Comment below, "I'm here for wisdom," if you're ready to finally take control of your joint health and stop letting pain dictate your days. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join our community here on Elderly Wisdom Guide, where we share the truths every senior deserves to know, so you can live not just longer, but better. Now, take a deep breath, because what you're about to learn might just change the way you look at your meals, and your arthritis, forever. Now, let's start with one of the biggest hidden culprits: processed meats. Imagine this: you open your fridge in the morning, looking for something quick and easy. You grab that pack of sausages, a few slices of bacon, maybe even some deli ham. You toss them in the pan, and the smell fills your kitchen. It's familiar, comforting, and hard to resist. It feels like a little taste of home. But here's the thing most people never realize: behind that tempting flavor hides a painful secret. Those same slices of bacon that make breakfast so enjoyable could be feeding the inflammation that's been tormenting your joints. Processed meats are packed with preservatives, sodium, and something called advanced glycation end products, AGEs for short. They sound harmless, but in the body, they act like tiny sparks that fan the flames of inflammation. Each bite can slowly stiffen your joints, making it harder to move, stretch, or even open a jar. Many people think, well, it's still protein, it must be good for me. But not all protein is created equal. When meat is processed, smoked, or salted, it loses its natural nutrients and becomes loaded with compounds that your body struggles to break down. Those compounds can irritate tissues around your joints and worsen the very pain you're trying to control. If you love your meats, don't worry, this isn't about giving them up completely. It's about making smarter swaps. Try switching to lean, unprocessed meats like grilled chicken, turkey, or even fish rich in omega-3 fatty acids. These choices don't just fill you up, they help fight inflammation from within. And for those who prefer plant-based options, lentils, beans, and tofu are wonderful, joint-friendly sources of protein. So, the next time you open your fridge, pause for a second. Ask yourself, is this meal going to feed my body, or feed my pain? And speaking of feeding pain, let's move on to something most of us can't go a single day without. That fizzy can of soda, that sweet iced tea, or even that energy drink you reach for when you need a pick-me-up, they all seem innocent, right? You take a sip, feel that burst of sugar, and for a moment, you feel alive again. But here's the truth, for your joints, that drink is like pouring gasoline on an open flame. Sugar is one of arthritis's closest friends, and not in a good way. When you consume too much of it, your body releases molecules called cytokines. These little troublemakers sound technical, but think of them as messengers of pain. They rush through your bloodstream, carrying inflammation right to your joints. Over time, that means more stiffness, more swelling, and more discomfort that doesn't seem to go away. And here's where many people get tricked. They switch from regular soda to diet soda, thinking it's a smarter choice. But the truth is, artificial sweeteners can sometimes be just as harmful. They confuse your metabolism, irritate your gut, and in some people, trigger the same inflammatory reactions as sugar itself. It's like trading one problem for another. Now, imagine what happens when this becomes a daily habit, a can with lunch, another with dinner, maybe one more before bed. Day after day, week after week, those small choices quietly add up, leaving your joints screaming for relief. But the good news? You can turn it around, and it's easier than you think. Try swapping your sugary drinks for infused water, add slices of lemon, cucumber, or mint. It's refreshing, hydrating, and helps reduce inflammation naturally. Or go for a soothing cup of green tea, packed with antioxidants that help calm joint pain instead of fueling it. Your body doesn't need the sugar rush, it needs balance, hydration, and care. And every sip of water you choose over soda is a small act of healing. But sugar doesn't only come in bottles. Sometimes, it hides in the one place you'd least expect it, your morning breakfast bowl. And that's where our next hidden enemy quietly lives. Now, let's talk about something that feels like home, the smell of freshly baked bread, the warmth of pasta on a quiet evening, or the sweetness of a pastry with your morning coffee. These foods bring comfort, don't they? They remind you of family dinners, weekends, and simpler times. But here's the catch, that comfort doesn't last long. Because for your joints, those same foods might be doing more harm than good. White bread, pasta, pastries, they all fall into a group called refined carbohydrates. And while they taste wonderful, they behave in your body in ways you can't feel right away. Here's what happens. When you eat refined carbs, they quickly break down into sugar. That sudden rush of sugar in your bloodstream triggers a chain reaction, your blood sugar spikes, your insulin levels rise, and inflammation quietly starts to build up. It's not something you feel immediately. But over time, it adds up, and your joints start to pay the price. Think of it like rust on metal. It doesn't appear overnight, but once it starts, it spreads, slowly weakening everything it touches. That's what refined carbs do to your joints from the inside out. And here's where many people get misled. You might see whole wheat printed on a loaf of bread and think you're making the healthy choice. But not all whole wheat products are what they seem. Many of them are still made with refined flour, stripped of their natural fiber and nutrients. What you're left with is a product that looks wholesome, but acts like sugar once it's in your system. So, what can you do instead? Swap out those refined carbs for true whole grains, things like oats, barley, brown rice, or quinoa. These foods digest slowly, keep your blood sugar steady, and help reduce inflammation over time. Plus, they give you lasting energy without that painful crash. Your joints will thank you for every small change you make. Each meal is a chance to either feed the pain or fight it, and choosing whole, natural foods is one of the easiest ways to take control. Now, let's move from sweetness to something savory, one of America's favorite ingredients. You use it every single day, but your joints might not love it as much as your taste buds do. Salt, it's the invisible companion in almost every meal. You sprinkle it on your eggs, your soup, maybe even your salad. It makes food taste alive, doesn't it? But when it comes to arthritis and joint pain, too much salt can quietly make things worse than you think. Here's why. Sodium, the main component of salt, causes your body to hold on to water. That might not sound like a big deal, but that extra fluid doesn't just make you feel bloated, it adds pressure inside your joints. And if you already have inflammation, that pressure can make pain sharper, swelling worse, and movement more difficult. But that's not all. Too much salt also interferes with calcium absorption, the very mineral that keeps your bones strong and your joints supported. Over time, that imbalance can make your bones weaker, leaving you more vulnerable to arthritis flare-ups and stiffness. Now, many people think switching to sea salt or pink salt makes things better. But here's the truth, salt is salt. Whether it's white, pink, or from the sea, your body reacts the same way when there's too much of it. The good news is, flavor doesn't have to disappear when salt does. You can bring your meals to life using natural herbs and spices that actually help fight inflammation. Turmeric, for example, contains curcumin, a compound known to reduce joint pain. Ginger improves circulation and eases swelling. And rosemary adds that warm, comforting aroma without the extra sodium. Try this for a week, reduce your salt little by little. You'll be amazed at how your taste buds adjust, and your joints. They might just start to feel lighter, less swollen, and more flexible. Now, here's where things get interesting. Because the next food on our list is something we all grew up believing was healthy, something that's been part of breakfast tables and school lunches for generations. But for those living with arthritis, it might not be the friendly food we once thought it was. A glass of milk in the morning feels like one of the simplest, purest habits there is. Maybe you've been doing it your whole life, pouring that cold milk into your cereal bowl or sipping it before bed, believing it's keeping your bones strong. It's something we were all taught growing up, drink your milk, it's good for you. But here's the part that no one really tells you, for some people, especially those over 50, that very same glass of milk could be doing more harm than good. You see, as we age, our bodies change. The way we process foods changes too. Certain proteins found in dairy, like casein and whey, can irritate the tissues around your joints. For some, these proteins trigger inflammation, swelling, and stiffness that can last for hours or even days. It's subtle at first. Maybe you feel a little tight in the morning or notice extra soreness after meals, but over time, it becomes a pattern your body can't ignore. And here's the misconception most people still hold on to: milk builds strong bones. That's true for some, but not for everyone. If your body has even a mild sensitivity to dairy, it can actually block calcium absorption instead of helping it, leaving your bones and joints weaker, not stronger. Now, I'm not saying everyone needs to give up dairy completely. Some people can enjoy it in moderation with no problem at all. But if you've noticed that your stiffness seems worse after cheese, yogurt, or milk, it's worth paying attention to what your body is trying to say. The good news is, there are better, gentler options out there. Try plant-based milks like almond, soy, or oat milk. They're rich in calcium and vitamin D, the same nutrients your bones need, but without the inflammation triggers that come with dairy. Some even have extra antioxidants that help fight pain and protect your joints from within. Sometimes, small changes make the biggest difference. And this is one of them. But dairy isn't the only silent offender hiding in plain sight. The next one is something many of us turn to for comfort, especially on busy days: quick, crispy, and oh so satisfying. But for your joints, it's one of the fastest tickets to more pain. Who doesn't love something fried? The crunch, the golden color, the smell, it's comforting. Maybe it's a plate of fries, fried chicken, or that quick meal you grab on your way home because you're too tired to cook. It feels like a small reward at the end of a long day. But here's the painful truth: those fried and fast foods are quietly working against you, especially if you're battling arthritis or chronic joint pain. Every time food is deep-fried, it's soaked in oils that are high in omega-6 fatty acids. Now, don't get me wrong, your body needs omega-6. But here's the problem, most of us get far too many of them and not enough of the balancing omega-3s that fight inflammation. When that balance tips too far, inflammation takes over. And that means more swelling, more stiffness, and more aching joints that just don't seem to calm down. It's not just the frying, either. The high heat changes the structure of the oil, creating toxic compounds that your body struggles to process. Those toxins can linger, affecting not just your joints but your heart, your metabolism, even your skin. Now, some people think using an air fryer magically makes every fried food healthy, but it's not quite that simple. It all comes down to what you're frying and what oil you're using. A breaded, processed chicken nugget isn't going to become a health food just because it's cooked with hot air instead of oil. So, what can you do? Choose olive oil or avocado oil when cooking. These oils contain healthy fats that actually help reduce inflammation instead of adding to it. And when you're craving that crispy texture, try baking instead of frying. You'll still get the crunch, but without all the inflammation that comes with it. Your joints will feel lighter, your energy will improve, and over time, those small, mindful choices will begin to pay off. But even foods that look healthy can trick you. There's one in particular that so many of us rely on when we're tired or pressed for time, something that seems harmless, even comforting. Yet behind the label lies a dangerous truth your joints need you to know. Picture this, it's a chilly evening, and you open your pantry. You reach for that familiar can of soup, the one that promises warmth, comfort, and ease. You pour it into a bowl, maybe sprinkle a little pepper, and within minutes, it feels like a cozy hug from the inside. For many, it's a quick, no-fuss dinner that saves time and energy. But here's what's hidden beneath that comforting aroma, something your joints quietly struggle with. Most canned soups and instant meals are packed with sodium, preservatives, and MSG, ingredients designed to preserve flavor and shelf life, not your health. While salt makes food taste better, too much of it pulls water into your tissues, causing swelling and pressure around your joints. That's why after a salty meal, you might feel bloated, heavy, or achy the next morning. And those preservatives? Many contain compounds that your body recognizes as foreign invaders, triggering your immune system to respond with inflammation. Over time, that can lead to chronic stiffness and joint fatigue that just won't go away. Here's a big misconception. When the label says low-fat or light, many people assume it's a healthier option. But those versions often make up for the lost flavor by adding even more salt or chemical flavor enhancers like MSG. So while the fat goes down, the inflammation risk shoots up. The good news is, you can still enjoy that warm bowl of comfort. All it takes is a little mindfulness. Try making homemade soups with fresh vegetables, herbs, and low-sodium broth. Add ingredients like turmeric, ginger, and garlic, natural anti-inflammatories that bring flavor and healing. You can even batch cook and freeze portions, so you have healthy, instant meals ready to go, made by you, for your well-being. And speaking of comfort foods, this next one might surprise you. Because sometimes, the biggest culprits for joint pain come dressed in sweetness and nostalgia. Cookies fresh out of the oven. A slice of cake at a family gathering. A donut with your morning coffee. These are the little indulgences that make life feel sweet. We call them treats, and they often carry memories of birthdays, of love, of moments we don't want to forget. But here's the truth that's hard to swallow: sugar loves inflammation. Every time you eat refined sugar, whether it's from pastries, donuts, or even that spoonful in your tea, your blood sugar levels spike. In response, your body releases insulin and cytokines, inflammatory molecules that irritate the delicate tissues around your joints. You might not feel it immediately, but over time, it builds up. That dull ache in your knees, the stiffness in your hands, it's often your body's way of saying, "I'm overloaded." And don't be fooled by the idea that natural sweeteners are always safe. Even honey, agave, or coconut sugar can cause inflammation when used in excess. Your body doesn't distinguish much between sources. Too much sugar, natural or not, still stirs up trouble inside. The gentle fix? Try satisfying your sweet tooth with fruits, nature's original dessert. Dates, apples, or berries offer natural sweetness plus antioxidants that fight inflammation. Or use cinnamon, it helps control blood sugar while adding warmth and flavor to your meals. Sweetness isn't the enemy, imbalance is. By reducing refined sugars, you'll notice not just less pain, but also more stable energy and better mood throughout your day. We're almost there, and the next two foods are ones few people ever expect to be linked to joint pain. They often hide in plain sight, in foods most of us consider everyday essentials. But for aging joints, they can be surprisingly harmful. You see them on almost every dinner table: tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, and potatoes. They're colorful, full of flavor, and often praised as healthy choices. You might toss them into a salad, simmer them in a stew, or grill them on a summer afternoon thinking, "I'm eating clean, I'm doing the right thing." But here's the twist: for some people with arthritis, these beautiful vegetables carry a hidden secret. They belong to a plant family known as nightshades, and inside them is a natural chemical called solanine. Now, solanine isn't harmful for everyone, but for people with sensitive joints, it can quietly trigger inflammation and pain. You might notice it as stiffness in your fingers after a tomato-based dinner or soreness in your knees after enjoying roasted potatoes. It doesn't happen to everyone, but when it does, it can feel like your joints are betraying you for eating something you thought was good for you. And yes, you've probably heard it before: tomatoes are great for your heart. That's true. They're rich in lycopene, which supports cardiovascular health. But what's good for the heart isn't always kind to the joints. The same compounds that make nightshades nutritious for some can be irritating for others. Here's the best way to find out: try a simple experiment. Cut out nightshade vegetables from your diet for 2 or 3 weeks. See how your body responds. If your pain eases, your stiffness lessens, or your mornings feel lighter, your joints have just given you an answer. If nothing changes, you can bring them back in moderation. The goal isn't to restrict, it's to listen. Your body speaks through how you feel. You just need to pay attention to what it's been trying to tell you. And finally, let's talk about one of the most controversial foods on this entire list. It's something many of us enjoy to relax, celebrate, or unwind after a long day, but it might be quietly fueling your joint pain. A glass of wine with dinner. A cold beer on a warm evening. A small drink at a family gathering. It seems harmless, even comforting. For years, we've been told that a little wine is good for the heart. And while that may hold some truth, what they don't always mention is what alcohol can do to your joints. Here's what really happens behind the scenes. Alcohol acts like a double-edged sword for people with arthritis. First, it dehydrates your body, stripping away the fluid that cushions and protects your joints. Without enough hydration, the cartilage that's meant to keep your joints smooth begins to dry out and wear down faster, leading to that familiar stiffness and grinding sensation. Second, alcohol increases uric acid in the blood, and if you have gout or gout-related arthritis, that's a recipe for pain. Those sharp uric acid crystals can build up around your joints, especially in your toes, ankles, or fingers, causing sudden flare-ups that feel like fire under your skin. Many people also assume that red wine is healthy. And yes, it's rich in antioxidants like resveratrol, which can support the heart. But even in small amounts, alcohol can disrupt your body's natural anti-inflammatory balance. For some, 1 glass might be fine, but for others, it's enough to trigger swelling overnight. If you've ever woken up with aching joints after a night of drinks, it wasn't your imagination, it was your body sending a message. The good news? You don't have to give up enjoyment. Replace alcohol with antioxidant-rich alternatives, like tart cherry juice, which helps reduce uric acid and inflammation, or herbal teas that soothe and hydrate your system. Even sparkling water with a slice of lemon or cucumber can give that same refreshing satisfaction, minus the side effects. Because every small choice adds up, every sip, every bite, every mindful moment, all contribute to how your joints feel tomorrow. It's hard, isn't it? Realizing that some of the foods we grew up loving. The Sunday morning bacon, the creamy mac and cheese, the slice of cake that made birthdays feel special, could also be the very things quietly feeding our pain. These aren't just meals, they're memories. They're the taste of childhood, of family dinners, of laughter shared across generations. But now, as the years pass, your body speaks to you differently. What once brought comfort might now bring stiffness. What once felt harmless might leave your hands aching or your knees throbbing. It's not easy to accept. It feels unfair, even confusing, how something so familiar could become the source of so much discomfort. But here's the truth, this isn't about losing joy. It's about gaining control. You're not being asked to give up the pleasure of food, you're being invited to take back your power over pain. Because when you know what's hurting you, you can choose what heals you. Think about it, every bite, every sip, every decision you make today is either feeding inflammation or fighting it. You don't have to change everything overnight. Healing rarely happens that way. Start small. Take one step. Skip that soda tomorrow. Trade that morning pastry for a bowl of fruit and green tea. Try seasoning your food with turmeric instead of salt, or baking instead of frying. Tiny steps, but each one a victory for your joints, your strength, and your future. And here's the beautiful part, your body is always trying to heal. Even now. Give it the right tools, the right care, and it will thank you. You'll start to notice it, mornings when you wake up with a little less stiffness, evenings when your hands feel lighter, walks that last a little longer before your knees ache. That's not magic. That's wisdom meeting action. Remember this, aging doesn't mean surrendering to pain. It means learning to work with your body instead of against it. With patience, awareness, and small daily choices, you can move with ease again. You can reclaim the joy of living without wincing at every step. Because wisdom isn't just about what you've learned over the years, it's about how you use that knowledge to create a better tomorrow. Let's take a moment to recap what we've learned today. The 10 foods to avoid, or at least cut back on, if you want to ease arthritis pain are processed meats, sugary drinks, refined carbohydrates, excess salt, dairy, fried foods, canned meals, sweets, nightshade vegetables, and alcohol. Each of these plays a role in how your body feels day after day. Knowing them gives you the power to make better choices, one meal at a time. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these foods do you find hardest to let go of? Or maybe you've already tried cutting one out. Did you notice your pain improve? Your story might be the encouragement someone else needs today. So please, share your experience in the comments below. And if this video helped you understand your body just a little better, if it opened your eyes to something you didn't know before, then please take a moment to subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Guide. Here, we explore how to age with strength, dignity, and awareness, because getting older should be a celebration of wisdom, not a battle with pain. Thank you so much for watching. Stay kind to your body. Listen to what it's trying to tell you, it's wiser than you think. And remember, growing older is not a burden, it's a gift. Until next time, stay wise, stay strong, and keep shining with the grace that only experience can bring.